Welcome, bienvenidos, mi amigos and amigas. You know, I'm trying to learn Spanish, so I got to use it. Welcome to the Audacious Confidence Show here on Dramaniac TV. I am your host, Alicia Couri, and I am so excited to have you on the show, watching the show today. So I have an amazing, amazing guest all the way from the land down under. And we're going to talk about a very, very important topic today, very poignant, very, very relevant to what's happening, not necessarily for the specific incident, but the lessons learned from it. And so I am I'm really excited. You know, usually I talk about whatever my experience is and what my confidence is, but the thing is, I can't say that I've had any experience like this before. I have never been in a harrowing experience. While I sympathize and it is crazy, I really have no frame of reference for it. So I'm not going to give my 2 cents tonight because, like I said, I have no frame of reference for this. But I do want to bring my guest on as quickly as possible so that if you have questions, if you have something that you want to share in the comments, in the chat, you know, that you have an opportunity and we don't run out of time like we usually do. So wherever you're watching, you can make sure you can send us your questions. You can ask us anything and we'll make sure that we cover that for you. Please, we are here. Hi. Hey, Javier. Hola, hola, hola. And buenos noches. And we have, we're live on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, hey, we're on Periscope. Hi, Periscope. And we are live on Facebook on several of our pages for Dramaniac TV and for the show. So hello, hello, hello. Feel free to leave us a message and say hi. I am going to introduce my guest. Now, she was on the Women Unleashed show several months ago. So if you did not get a chance to see that show, it was phenomenal. And her name is Rachel Ireland. She is a mother, a wife, and has spent the better part of 30 odd years living on the Adelaide Plains in Australia. After enduring the devastated Pinery, you're going to correct me, bushfire in November 2015, Rachel appeared on Channel 9's reality documentary This Time Next Year alongside her husband, David. Their aim was to highlight the struggles that come with enduring total loss and the road to rebuilding, and as a voice for those that have suffered loss as a result of natural disasters. Rachel hopes to one day be able to aid in after disaster recoveries by helping other families like her own. Rachel is an avid campaigner for mental health and hopes that open and honest discussion will reduce the stigma often attached. And of course, she enjoys good food, good wine, and good people. And that's why she's here. I would love to welcome to the show, Rachel Ireland. Yay! Hello. And it is morning where you are. And it's evening where
it's morning. Coffee.
Cup of coffee. So we'd had the wine discussion before, but since it's morning, you're skipping the wine.
Yeah, unfortunately. I still have to go pick the kids up later, so I think it wouldn't be, good for me to be under the influence.
At so early in the morning, correct?
Yeah.
So here, welcome to the Audacious Confidence Show. Thank you so much for
having me.
Of course. I want to ask, first of all, how are things where you are right now?
I'm pretty lucky. I live pretty rural in South Australia, so things are going pretty well in the current climate. We're actually doing really well as a state. So they're kind of returning to some form of normalcy, but there's still stressed people and a bit of tension to be expected.
And your children are back at school?
They are. It has been a long couple of months with them at home. So this is their third week back at school, which is very exciting. The second week back at school. I lose track.
Mm-hmm. I know. Listen, you have some moms envying you right now because they're still.
Hang in there, guys. Hang in there. Drink lots of coffee or wine.
So how was it having them home in quarantine, in lockdown? Because you have 4 children, correct?
I do have 4 children, ranging from a teenager to a preschooler. So they're very diverse. And yes, I do need to do a roll call of my kids at time. Sometimes it's Tweedledum, Tweedledee, Tweedledee. But yeah, they're really good. For them, being at home helped calm their anxiety. So they all have complex anxiety as a result of PTSD, which is not unusual given what they've seen in their short lives. So they were really good at being home. Not so good at the whole homeschooling thing because they didn't like their teacher. Mums are very a hard taskmaster, apparently. So it was really good. We learnt a lot from each other, and we did a lot of things and moved through a lot of emotional hurdles as well, which I was actually really grateful at that opportunity to learn. So it wasn't so bad. We just went into our own little bubble.
Nice. That's good. And that they had the opportunity to support one another, to be home and go through this. But I want to take for anyone that did not see you on Women Unleashed, take us back to, I didn't even mention the title of your book, From the Ashes of Eden.
There it is, right there.
Yeah, I see the little blaze.
That was the kids. They wanted to put it there.
From the Ashes of Eden is your book, and it's on Amazon. So it's From the Ashes of Eden. So take us back, which is a great, it's well written. It's a wonderful book, takes you right into what was happening. So
yeah, you come with me.
Yeah, you really go with you on this journey. Just kind of share what happened, just to give people a sense of the just the sheer fear and
the enormity of that fear. That day was that was nothing but a fight, flight, or freeze day. From the moment you woke up, you knew it was an extraordinary day because out there, you get winds. That's fine. That morning, it was particularly a hot and dry wind, and that spells trouble in Australia. Drought is real here as well. We're hoping that it might break this year, but the land becomes tinder. And I'd lived on the Adelaide Plains for my entire life at that stage, and I'd never seen anything bad on that scale. We'd seen little fires, and they always seem like they're massive, but they were under control because our volunteer firefighters are amazing. But that day, there was no chance. There was the wind was incredulous, and that tower of smoke, as you're looking in your rear vision mirror, it took up the entire mirror, like the entire sky. It was almost nighttime, and I think I described it as a demon on steroids. And that's how it felt. Like you looked at it and straight away. It's coming for you.
Yeah, it's coming straight at you. And as fast
as terrifying.
It's still coming at you. And you and your family sort of narrowly escaped that.
We did.
Did you have neighbors that perished or that got out? Like, did your neighbors get out too, or?
Yeah, I turned into a little bit of a psycho chick and started screaming at my neighbours, like, just pack something, get in your car and get out, it's coming. I was a bit luckier than most people because my husband was on that fire front and he was sending me messages when he could, and he'd already sent me a voice message and said, you need to go. But I'd already made that decision anyway because he needed to concentrate on his task at hand, which was controlling that thing. or getting it under control.
Right.
And I needed to have him feel comfortable in the fact that we were in a safe place. So, yeah, I just screamed, it doesn't matter. Things don't matter. We'll come back in a couple of hours when the danger's passed and it will be fine. But right now you need to get your families and you need to go. So,
Right.
and then I pretty much left. So, yeah, it's just telling everyone, like, hell or high water, I didn't care if I looked like an idiot and if all the danger had passed, it was
Right.
imperative to be safe.
And because you said, I believe in our last interview, you talked about like within 30 minutes of leaving, it was there and it was flat.
Yeah,
Like
my house
everything
was
was
on
gone.
fire. My house was
Everything.
pretty much gone. I hadn't even reached my destination, and it was already catching me. And I was pushing my car, and like I drive like I think you guys would call it an SUV. I call her Nellie the elephant. She's big. Um, I need a big car, and I like to go off road. So, yeah. So I was pushing my car to a brink, and it was catching me. So it was really hard when you've got those children in the car and you're like, okay, look over here. Oh, look,
Trying to
there's a
keep them
tractor.
calm, trying to keep the kids
Yeah.
calm with all, and
And
now they're
keeping
teenage,
myself calm.
right? But how old were they at the time?
So my oldest was 8 and my youngest was 1. So, varying ages in there. I think the
Mhm.
other ones were like 4 and 5. Excuse me. 4 and 5 years old.
But trying to
So
keep
not
those
old at
little
all.
ones, yeah, from looking behind and seeing and being scared and
Oh, they were
um,
terrified, but they were so calm. So,
and
and
I think they got that from you because, you were just
oh, I
like,
don't know.
let's go, let's go, let's go. It was all business. There was no time to freak out. We're hitting the road and we're going. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. And like I just, quick shout out to my daughter because she was sitting there as a little 8-year-old girl in the front seat of the car with our 2 big dogs, terrified, on her
mhm.
lap. And they ended up clawing her lap unintentionally. And she didn't
Oh,
whimper. She didn't say a word. The only thing that she did say to me in that ride, that was the hardest thing to hear as a mother, was, "Are we going to die today, Mum?" And in my head, when you hear that, you're like, oh my gosh, she sees the reality here. Like,
right.
no, babe, no, I got this. I'm good.
We
We're
got
good.
this. Because as the mom, you have to reassure your children. I just have
Absolutely.
like goosebumps all over. It's
Usually
like,
I cry when I say that, but I didn't that time. So that was good.
yeah, that's crazy. Um, so that was really the fight for your life,
Absolutely.
for your children's lives, for your pet's life, to get out, regardless of, they always tell you, well, what will you grab if you had to get out quickly? What would you take with you? And, literally it's get yourself out as quickly
Pretty
as
much there's
possible.
no time when
Get
something has
yourself
been,
to safety, because
that's right.
that's the most important
Yeah.
thing
And
to do.
like honestly, when you lose stuff, you do, it does make you sad from time to time, like not having those beautiful bump photos when I was pregnant with the kids, or those photos when they come home from hospital and they're just that wee little fresh
Mm-hmm.
newborn. And that's sad, but I have to keep in check that I have the real thing
You
and
got the real
I can
deal.
cuddle them and watch them grow now, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm. So how would you sort of relate that experience with what the world is going through right now?
So it's an emotional trauma, and it's fear. It's that fear of the unknown, fear of not knowing what's going to happen next, and not being in control of the situation, no matter what you're doing. Um, where we're all at the moment in this kind of, segregation by ourselves, and
Trying to make the
not
most
having,
of it, trying to keep the kids calm, and
yeah, it's the same kind of roller coaster of, let's not let panic take over. Let's be level headed. Let's think this through. Let's talk it through. And let's
Mhm.
approach this with an open and clear mind and keep safe. It's the same principles.
Right.
So, unfortunately, when people are presented with this situation, it is quite often fight, flight, or freeze. And, you know, you'll have those people that go crazy and go hoarding, or
Right.
people that will bury their head in the sand and say, you're overreacting, there's nothing going on.
There's nothing,
And,
yeah.
yeah, and then you have, and you know, the people that are like, okay, this isn't great. This is what we can do to do our part. Let's just get it done. The quicker we all work together as a team and get through these things, then the quicker it's over and done with, and we can return to some semblance of normal life. So
absolutely. And we are at the end of segment 1. Imagine that. I was going to ask you a question, but I'm gonna leave it for the next segment, because it kind of works for the next segment. So you are watching the Audacious Confidence Show here on Dramaniac TV, and my guest is Rachel Ireland, and we're talking about recovery from really disaster. And in our next segment, we're going to talk about the aftermath. Like, what can you expect when you return? How do you even start coming back to a normal life? So I am your host, Alicia Couri, and I'm going to bring my guest back up now. This is Rachel. So Rachel, we were talking about your experience going through a horrendous bushfire that really wiped out your whole neighborhood. There was nothing left.
Well, the area surrounded, yeah.
And the surrounding areas, there was nothing left standing. So the question I was going to have as we were ending the last segment was about the fear of the unknown, which is what you were running. And I think I was reading, like, you were trying to go north, but there were obstacles in your way of getting there.
And I was disorientated.
And you're disoriented because everything is thick and black and you can't see.
And I drive by landmarks, so I'm like, I don't know where I am.
Where do I go? It's just a wide open space, like where to go. I think that's what a lot of people are feeling right now. It's like, you have no control over your life. You don't know where we're going. We don't know what's happening. We don't know where we're headed. But how do you get control of that fear of, like, completely the unknown?
So we break it down. You know, we talk. I talked about in that particular part in the book where I was lost and I was getting frustrated and really upset because those 4 people depended on me for their own safety and for their lives. And that's a huge responsibility to shoulder at any given time. My kids have always been drilled into the saying, teamwork makes the dream work. And it's much the same here. So my oldest son said to me, "It's okay, Mum. We're a team. Like, we've got this. I think we need to do this. I think I saw something here. We can go that way." And it's kind of the same at the moment, like, you know, working together for the greater good. And the greater good at the moment is to minimize things. And, you know, I think in Australia, we call it flattening the curve.
Everywhere's calling flattening the curve. Everybody's trying to flatten the curve.
Well, curves were a good thing. No, just joking.
They are a good thing in the right places.
That's right. So, like, for me, it is that kind of communication and understanding that right now, okay, we're in a predicament, but we can make a way out of it, and we can just take a moment, take stock of where we're at, and find our way through. You know, yes, okay, we missed the landmarks and the fun and the clear skies and whatnot, but we're still going to get there. We're still going to get to the safety if we just calm down and work together. And that's what it was for me. It was calming down and working together. And the kids really, they helped me. You know, without their help at that point in time, I can't say the outcome would have been the same, because at that point I was losing my brain. I was like, what? I was panicking on the inside, because I'm a stone. So I don't show emotion on the outside. But on the inside, I'm like, oh, my God, these guys are going to die. And it's my fault. Like, I failed them. You know, those kind of emotions. So it is that slowing down, relying on community, like really having that unity and keeping each other calm. And that's what I say to my kids as well. It's unity and community. Like,
that was amazing. It was amazing that as you started, your stress level started rising, that they even recognized that to say, hey, mom, it'll be okay. So now
Yeah,
we kind of flipped the roles and said, okay, I think I saw
absolutely.
something, having the presence of mind and not just being in a panic, which is a testament to you and your husband's raising of your children to
Yeah.
have that presence of mind and not freak out in the
Oh, I wanted to.
moment. Because
Yeah, they're pretty amazing. Like, I couldn't ask for more diverse and independent and headstrong children, but I love their perspective and their compassion and their love. They just, they drive me mental, but they
yeah,
are really good humans, and that's what I want. I want to raise good humans that are
that
going
are
to be the next
strong.
leaders of the next world changes.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And you got to take the knocks with it too, because you got to take you
the
got to
good
take
comes with the bad.
the fact that they are leaders and they are headstrong and they're going to give you their opinion. And
Oh, they do.
yes,
Teenage girls, man.
I
Holy
have two
moly.
of them. Well, I have one now. The other one's an adult, but yes, I
I've only
totally,
got one girl, and I'm like, hats off mothers around the world because
yeah. I have
wow.
two. One is now will be 18 soon, and the other one is 22. So,
Aww.
and then I have a son that's getting into his teens now. He's 12. He'll be 13.
Aww.
So yeah, so I get it. I get it.
Uh,
So when you returned home
mhm.
now, did you even know that you were home? Like there's just a pile of ash.
So I didn't go back to the actual house for a day. I couldn't stomach the idea of us seeing the house on fire.
Hmm.
Um, it was too much. I didn't think that the kids could handle it, and I definitely know that I couldn't. So that night we came back to find my husband, and that was the most harrowing part for me. Like that fear there was so hard because I didn't recognize the land that I love, that I grew up on. It actually looked like those scenes in the movies where there's fire all around and like you've got the smell of rubber burning, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, is this my tires? Are we even going to make it? Is my car going to melt? Like ridiculous things. But when I saw the house for the first time, it was just a deep sadness. Like, if those walls could talk, if they could
Oh
have
my.
told stories for years of the happy times, and just
Mm.
one of the things that kept playing over in my mind was the sound of the front door, the thud, the solid
Yeah.
sound of it shutting, and that feeling I got when I heard that of being completely and utterly safe, and I felt like that had been ripped away and we
Taken
were
away from you.
exposed. Yeah,
Hmm.
that we
Wow.
and we were homeless. We had nowhere. It was really confronting. We were
Wow. And
displaced.
you were completely displaced, and it wasn't just you, it was your whole community.
That's
Everybody was.
well, yeah. There was a lot of people, and a lot of people that we know were displaced. But we did. I did keep in check that people that I'd known my entire life, and one of my friends had actually passed away. I didn't know at that time that had happened. But
Mhm.
as the days wore on, and I learned that we'd lost a friend, and she was an amazing human with a beautiful heart. And one of the older farmers that I had grown up respecting. His family is amazing. He'd passed away in the midst of fighting that monster as well. So that kept me in check to say, at least for me, it was just things. And while that hurt, I couldn't fathom the idea that I would have lost my husband, because at one point we couldn't get onto him, and
You couldn't find, right, you couldn't get in touch with
yeah,
him.
and then the news was reporting that a CFS volunteer, for us, that's Country Fire Service, a
Hmm.
volunteer had perished, and we couldn't get a hold of him, and that was terrifying to think, well, what am I going to do?
Hmm.
He's not here with me. How am I going to cope with that? So
Right.
yeah, not fun.
Not fun at all. So, yeah, I think we saw Javier said hello. Um, we're looking at some comments coming through. Sebastian says, both interviewer and guests are very dear people in my life. From Facebook, do you need to do a
Yeah,
roll
I saw
call?
that.
Yeah, I know. You need to do a roll call yeah, once you have more than one, you need a roll call. And you start calling them all kinds of names. Even
I go
especially,
through the names
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah.
So yeah.
So the question I was going to ask before we do in the comments is, there are so many parallels to what you were experiencing. Oh, got a couple new comments. Do the kids talk about this? Do you discuss this with them, still with them? And how do you handle it?
That is an awesome question.
Mhm.
Yeah, they do. They do talk about it, mainly when they feel triggered,
Mhm.
or occasionally sometimes it pops up in their dreams, and it's usually because they've been unsettled in some way, and their sense of security has been questioned. So
Mhm.
my youngest is probably he's a little bit immune to what actually happened, but
Because
he
of
was
a year old, yeah,
yeah, but
he
he was
doesn't
alongside
remember,
me.
but he
He
has the
remembers,
feeling.
yeah, he remembers that we went through something that made mum really upset, and that I did struggle for a bit, but he was always there. He was my constant. He was my joy. He made me smile and laugh all the time because he's just a little peanut. And
Mhm.
I love him dearly. I call him Creeper because he's always there. But the older kids, sometimes things come up, and they will say to me, Mum, how come we did this? How come this happened to us? Why were we the ones that lost? And
Mhm.
I said, most of the time I tell them because we were strong enough to move forward, and that's why.
Right.
And at the end of the day, we're brought to the place that we are because we went through those things. And instead of sitting there asking why, let's look at why we're grateful to be where we are. So
Yeah.
switching the script, and
Very
and
nice.
and it's really important to do with trauma. And sometimes like it's not inspirational. It's trying to just switch the story we tell
But it
ourselves.
does, yeah. It is switching the story, switching,
That's
reframing
exactly
whatever
right.
you went through and seeing it through a different lens so that you
That's
don't
right.
continue to experience that trauma, but you see the other side of it. Because
And yeah, we practice that gratitude as well. Like for me especially, I like to reflect on the day, and what am I grateful for in the day. And quite often it's the people. And I don't think, I would be the person I am without going through what we did. And they played a part in that. But they, as my children, have made me the woman I am today. And I'm
Mhm.
grateful for them and everything that I've endured,
Right.
because I love me.
Yeah.
I love me. Um,
Yay!
and I just, warts and all, like, even
Yeah,
their dad has grown and changed through this experience, and he's an amazing man. He's grown a lot, and I'm so proud of him and the way that this has changed him as well.
excellent. That's awesome that you can put it all in perspective. But I
You
wanted
have to, though.
you have to. I
Mm.
wanted to draw the parallels because there's so many parallels in your story, what you went through, and what others are going through right now, especially when you talk about, if you can't get in touch with someone and the fear of a loved one, or even missing, not knowing that someone, hey, high tech mother, she said she just woke up. Um,
Good
I
morning.
haven't been able to read the book fully yet, but that's okay.
You've
There's
got
time.
time.
You
There's
got
time.
time. There's time.
Oh, can I come and give you a hug?
No, I know. But the thing is, there's real situations happening right now, like you mentioned before, that some people that you grew up with passed and you didn't know. There's situations like that happening now where people are in the hospital or they're dying, and it's only gonna you're not everyone's not aware that this is happening to them until
Yeah.
afterwards.
It's a
Just
trauma.
what you
It's a
experienced.
fear-based trauma, you know?
Exactly. So there are a lot of things that you're saying that we're seeing happening now on a global scale.
Yeah.
That that's why I wanted to have you on the show, because there's so many lessons that you've learned in the last five years since this has happened in the recovery process, because that's exactly what it is. It's a recovery process.
It is.
And now, yes, we are going through a really tough time right now, High Tech Mother. It's so true. And so that's why I wanted you to have you on the show to talk about the process, so that we're not staying stuck, and we're understanding that, just like you said, we have to learn to reframe certain things so that we don't stay in the trauma of it, but we're able to move forward.
And especially with the things that are going on around the world, with the fact that people are in actual lockdown, we're pretty fortunate in South Australia. We have restrictions, but we're not in forced lockdown, and we never have been, which has been fabulous, because, like, you know, everyone wants to feel like
it's not like a city where there's so many people interacting with each other so closely.
Yeah. That's right. And where I live now is, I kind of joke and say to everyone, we're right on the doorstep of the outback, and you know, we really are. We're about 4 hours drive away from at the capital, Adelaide, which is fine with me because I don't do cities. But you know, in this time when people feel like their freedom's been taken, that they're not in control, it's really important to say, well, what can I focus on today that's going to get me through today? What can I break down and do that's going to cater to my mental health? And for me, in the beginning of having all the kids home, it was a beautiful, beautiful sunny weather. For us, we're heading into the colder season now, and you guys are getting like all the sun, so I'm super jealous.
Yeah, we're heading into the summer. You're going into your winter.
And it gets cold. I don't like cold. But yeah, no, we'd go out and we'd garden. We started growing seeds. We focused on doing things around the home. We talked about the, you know, processes of baking cakes. Like, I took it as an opportunity to invest in my children, to add another skill set to them that builds them up as good humans, you know, and
reproductive.
And most importantly for us, we turned off the news. When things like this happen in bushfire season, I don't put the news on, especially if there is a current situation, because for them that is a huge trigger. And quite often I will find that they have night upon night of waking in terror, because it puts them right back in that place. And I understand that, because a lot of the time when I started this year, when I saw my friends on the East Coast and then over in Kangaroo Island, I agree, Sebastian, cold sucks. You know, when all of these fires were happening, and I'm watching people that I know and I love and adore go through the same thing, but on a mammoth scale and lasting longer, because Pinery, it is Pinery, not Pinery. Pinery was one of the fastest burning bushfires in Australia's history. And those fires went for a few days through Kangaroo Island and the East Coast and all of those things. And it was just like the scale of it, and talking my friends through their situation and trying to calm them down, it took up a lot of my time and a lot of my focus, because I didn't want them to feel that sense of losing their control over everything. I'm like, it's okay. You're going to get through this. Let's take it one step at a time. What are your options? What can we do right now in this moment to get you through? And that's like, now, what can we do in this moment right now to get us through? What can we do to be of service and to help move forward? And that's the important
out of your own situation.
Absolutely. And look at the bigger picture, because if we sit there and we focus on what's going wrong and how crappy everything is, we're feeding that depression, we're feeding that darker side, and it takes over and swallows you. And I did for a while. I did that. I fed that darkness, and it was hard.
Yeah, it is hard. So for those of you who are just joining us, This is the Audacious Confidence Show here on Dramaniac TV. And we are talking to my special guest, which is Rachel Ireland, all about recovery. And she and her family, she's an author, and she wrote a book, From the Ashes of Eden, from her harrowing experience with her 4 children and her husband having survived a very fast-moving bushfire in Australia, and the lessons that she learned in the recovery process to how we can translate those lessons for today, for what we're going through right now in this pandemic. So welcome back to the Audacious Confidence Show. I am your host, Alicia Couri, and my guest is Rachel Ireland. And in this segment, we're going to talk about the lessons that she's learned through the recovery. I mean, she's been giving us these massive lessons throughout the whole segment, throughout the whole episode, of how she was able to, her and her family were able to take it one step at a time, and that they're still triggered because it was a very frightening situation. So what is the chief thing that you would say helped you and your children and your husband, you, your husband and your children, kind of go from coming home or trying to find a home to where you are now? What was the number one thing that you would say helped you in that moment?
Baby steps.
That's kind of what I'm hoping you would say, right?
Excellent. No, quite often when we're faced with situations, we want to conquer it all at once. And that's just the nature. That's just the way we are. We want it done. We want it dusted. We want to move on. And look, I did too. I wanted to go home so badly.
Right.
But at that point, home was a different feeling to me. Like, it was the sense of security. And I didn't know that then. I wanted to feel like I was safe again. And that was huge. Yeah. I wanted to create an environment for our children and our family where we could feel safe, and it was our little haven again. And that didn't happen for a while. And believe it or not, it didn't even happen with the rebuild. It was when we left the area and we moved to the middle of the Mallee in this gorgeous old beaten up farmhouse that we arrived to completely broken, that we felt we'd found that place again. We were home.
Wow.
I don't live there now. I'm living in our fixer upper now, but that place, it's so special to me because that's where I really, and that was like years after I put the pieces back together. I felt like I could breathe. Like, the problem is when you're in that kind of situation, when you're going through that trauma, everyone else in that area went through their own trauma. And quite often we want to pin what we're going on someone. We want to blame someone for the position that we're in. And a lot of people watched our recovery and decided that it was their right to comment and judge on what we were doing to move forward. And we can't do that. And like, people do that now with, a lot of mums get made feel guilty because they're sending kids to school or they're going down the street. Like, I mean, I have a large family. If I go and buy a block of toilet paper, I'm like, whoa, I'm not hoarding. I'm not hoarding. Or like, 3 packs of pasta. And I'm like, oh, no. I have like 3 sons and they eat like horses.
Right.
But, it is not our place to judge another's journey because we're not walking in their shoes and we're not surrounded in their environment. So I think, that's one thing that I really want to change in recovery in the future is just that understanding, because kindness goes a long way.
Grace.
And
grace and kindness.
Great.
Yeah.
And I write that in my book. Like, it's one thing that my nan said to me many, many moons ago, and she's my ultimate hero. Like, if I could be the lady she was, then I'm doing okay. Yeah. But she's like, always gracefully, my love, my pet. So I set a little reminder on my phone that pops up randomly, and it says gracefully, and that's what it was about for me.
Yeah, and I love that you're talking about not judging others' journey. how they are recovering. You did touch on something else as well when you said we need to take baby steps
Yeah.
towards our recovery, because I see people now, I know you're not watching the news, but so many people are protesting. They want to open back up. They want to rush to do something because they're feeling stuck and they're feeling helpless and they're feeling hopeless and they're feeling like they need to do something. They need to go back to work.
They
They need
want to
to
be proactive, and yeah, they want normality. And I understand the feeling of wanting things to go back to normal, because like when you are going through a total loss and that disaster, your normal doesn't go back to where it was, and it never will. And
you
that's life now.
you've recalibrated, and you need to like,
You've rewired it, and it's completely different. And that is how things are now. We can't go back to the way it was. It's not working. There was a reason that, we're taking a step back. We can see this as an opportunity to fix the moments where we've done things that aren't exactly great, that aren't good for the entire well-being of the world. Like,
mhm,
we can enrich each other's lives and, build each other up and try our best to make a plan to move forward, so that not just us being selfish people going, I want, what is the
right.
best for our community? Why? Let's breathe and roll ourselves up in unity and bring that into our community and just try and like make it better. Like the days where you used to hang over the fence talking to your neighbor, like I love that about where I live now. I hang over the fence and talk to my neighbors all the time now, and I
Mhm.
I love them for it. I've always been that girl that is like
Yeah,
the girl next door hanging over
yeah,
the fence, like, oh look, I made too many muffins. Here's some.
yeah. Here's
Um,
some.
yeah, and that's just the way I was raised. I'm a bit old school, but I think it's that opportunity to be able to establish real connection again, instead of being so inwardly focused and focused on self. We can actually connect with others and use technology to do that. So, because that's what I've missed. I've missed connecting. Like that was the hardest
Oh,
thing for me.
yeah. That personal connection, personal touch. So patience is
Absolutely.
really needed right now. We need a
And
lot of patience.
yeah, we're in that kind of era where it's instant gratification, and that's not what happens in these situations. It is little by little. It is, some days you're taking 3 steps forward, another day you might take a step back, but
Mhm.
either way we're still moving. And if we're not learning from what's going on right now, there is a real issue. That's a big issue. We're not listening. So I think that's important. Listen and baby steps.
Oh my gosh, it's so important right now, as we're moving towards, because we're not even in recovery. We're not in that place yet. We are still in the place of like you said,
Fear.
flattening the curve. In a lot
Yeah.
of places, we're still trying to understand what's happening and try to minimize the damage. So we're still like in the fire. We are
Yeah.
still in that
We're still
place.
fleeing.
We're still fleeing from the fire.
Mm.
I, oh my gosh, Rachel, I have enjoyed this conversation so much. And
Me
there,
too.
there's so many lessons. There's so many things that you have touched on, that I hope people really rewatch this and see some of this, because there are so many parallels, because
Yeah,
it is a trauma. The last thing I want
it
to
is.
talk about is mental health, because there's another wave coming. Once this is over, there's that wave of mental,
Yeah, that
uh,
emotional fallout.
emotional trauma,
Mhm.
survivor's guilt, and PTSD, and all kinds of other things that we can't even look forward yet at. But just talk to me just a little bit. We have just a few minutes about how recognized it with your children and what you guys are doing.
Thanks, Sarah, by the way. I'll see you later.
Yeah.
Um, so again, it is little by little. Like it is really hard to focus on the the just enormity of it right now. Like it is little by little moving through, and you have to reframe those thoughts for your own mental health. Like, yes, okay, we went through that, but guess what? We're on the other side now, and we get to choose how we move forward. We write our story from this point on. And that is an amazing, amazing revelation when you get to that point. You're like, okay, I'm back in control. I choose how to move forward.
Nice.
And it is, again, like about others lifting you up and carrying you when you can't walk, you know, and that's why I'm so big on unity and community, because it takes a village. It really does.
It takes a village.
And like for me, like you said earlier, we're 5 years, this November, it'll be 5 years since we've gone through Pinery, and there's still hurdles every day, because different situations bring up different hurdles and different emotional barriers. And we just take it little by little. We break it down. Because if you try and eat a pie, this is what I say to my son, if you try to eat a meat pie in one bite, you're going to choke.
You will
little by little.
Yeah.
And it's making it relative so that they understand, and everyone understands, you know, it's little by little.
Yes. And I saw Sebastian say that the Australian community is awesome. And yeah, we have
really
everywhere that really come together, and it's really inspiring to see. So thank you so much, Rachel. This was amazing. I knew you would be an amazing guest. And
thanks for having me.
Yes, and I'm so thankful that you came on when you said yes. So this has been the Audacious Confidence Show. Yet stay in the green room. Don't go anywhere, Rachel. We'll be with you in a second. But this has been the Audacious Confidence Show on Dramaniac TV. I am your host, Alicia Couri, and we have been talking about recovery, how Rachel's story is very parallel and relevant to what we're going through now, and we can take lessons from what she has been through in our own life. Her book is called From the Ashes of Eden. You can look it up on Amazon, and so it's a really fantastic book, especially to read right now. You'll gain so much from it. So that's it for me. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you next time here on Dramaniac TV. We say, you dream big, and we'll make it happen. Bye, everybody. Hi, Alicia Couri here. If you enjoyed that episode of the Audacious Confidence Show, check out more on this channel, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends, and if you hit that notification button, you won't miss a single episode.